This is the walkthrough for Project 1, Exercise 1, for CIT 111, Week 7 online course, Classes and Objects. In this exercise, we're going to get a chance to see how objects are utilized and how we can change the properties or the data of an object in the constructor. We're going to start out by building our class, or building our program in Alice. That's going to save us some setup. And we're going to start by selecting the dirt landscape. Once we're here, we're going to add 3 chickens called Chicken 1, Chicken 2, and Chicken 3. And I'm simply going to search for the chicken. I'm going to use the default chicken. And I'm going to call my first one Chicken 1. And we want to make sure Chicken 1 shows up all the way to the left. So I'm going to move him over here. I'm going to add Chicken 2 now. And then, of course, Chicken 3. I've switched back to the Edit Code view because I want to make some changes. When my program starts up, I want my chicken to be yellow. In order to do that, it's a fairly simple operation. I'll click on Chicken 1, and I can go down to Procedures, and I'm going to set the paint, which allows us to change the color, and I'm going to change him to yellow. And if I run this, if you run it, you see that your chicken turns yellow. But the problem is that he turns yellow as the scene starts up. I want him to be yellow from the start. There's a couple of different ways we can do this. And again, we're working with objects. The chicken is a model, right? The chicken class, the default that default chicken class we had, is a model. It displays how this chicken looks. You saw there were a couple of chickens, one of which looked rather angry. And so there's a blueprint for each type of chicken. And I can create as many chicken objects from that blueprint, from that class, as I want. And I did. I created 3 here. The way I'm doing it right now allows me to change the colors of 1 chicken. I'm taking advantage and utilizing the set paint method, as I talked about. This would be what we call a mutator method, to change the color, which is some data about my chicken that we've got stored, that's stored in that blueprint. What I'm going to do is I want to save this, and I want to take it into NetBeans so I can look at the code, and we can try some other ways to change the code and see what happens in manipulating these objects. So I'm going to go ahead and find a good place to save this. And the instructions say call it chicken color. I'm going to call mine chicken color 1 because I've already got a chicken color in here. So I'm just going to change the name on it a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize Alice. Now I'm going to open up NetBeans, and I'm going to bring this into NetBeans. I'm going to create a new project. And it's going to be a Java project from an existing Alice project. I'm going to go find my Alice program. And as you can see, I have a lot of junk on my computer. I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to go ahead and let it import. Once it has imported, we're going to go ahead and open up the source packages, default packages, and head into the scene. And I want you to go down to the My First method, and you can see here where we're setting the chicken yellow. Now, the My First method is the first thing that covers everything that basically happens in our animation. There is a place that I can put this so that that chicken number 1 is yellow from the moment our program starts to run. And we do that in the Perform a Custom Setup method. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to copy my code and I'm going to cut it, take it out of here. And I'm going to put it in the Perform Custom Setup method. And if you just scroll up a little bit, you'll see it. Here's the Perform Custom Setup method. This stuff happens, the Custom Setup method executes before our My First method does. So we're going to put this code here. And now when we run this program, when it pops up, we're going to see that our chicken is yellow to begin with. See, he's yellow right off the bat. He doesn't fade into yellow. He's yellow right off the bat. What if I wanted to make all the chickens yellow? What if I wanted to make all of these chickens yellow? Right now, I'm manipulating a specific chicken, right? We have this model of a chicken, and I've used it to create 3 different chickens. Chicken 1, chicken 2, and chicken 3. If I want to change the color of all of my chickens, then I might want to change it in the model. Now, if you'll recall, I had a little bit of a discussion with you about constructors and their purpose, what they do. The constructor's purpose is to provide all of the data with values. There's something going on in Alice called inheritance. It allows us to extend or take one class, and the one way we put it is that it allows us to take something that is very general, a class or a model that is very general, and make it very specific. In this case, we are taking the group of flying, the model for things that fly, like birds, and we are making it more specific. And so a lot of this work is done for us, done behind the scenes through this magical object-oriented property called inheritance that we'll discuss in detail in 130. What I want you to know about it here is just that it means that we don't have to do a whole lot of work. We only have to do the extra stuff that we want. Since our constructor is where we would specify all of our data, since we want to change some data here, we want to change the color of the chicken, this is the place to do it. So I'm going to put my chicken1.setPaintColor method call in here. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of a problem. Since we're working inside the actual model itself, the code that sets up the model, the code that represents the model, we can't reference a specific build of that model. So something that we have specifically constructed from that model. So instead, we just say set paint color. Since set paint color is a model that the method is a method that the model can use, we've seen that because we've called it in chicken 1, chicken 2. Well, up to this moment we've called it in chicken 1. We can just call it here. We can't see the method. I want you to know that it exists, but we can use it to change the color of all of our chickens. And in this case, we are changing it to yellow. Now, if we run this, we're going to still run into a bit of a problem, because it is possible it is possible for the individual objects to also call this method. And that's actually what's happened. There is another setup method, perform generated setup, that calls and sets a lot of these properties also. It's something that code generation programs that generate code tend to do. If you ever work in Visual Studio, you'll find this happens a lot for all of your controls, like buttons and text boxes and things. All of the properties code is generated to explicitly set all of the properties. And that's okay. But what we need to do is go through and comment out all the ones where it says set paint color white. So I'm going to comment out chicken1, set paint color, chicken2, set paint color, and chicken3, set paint color. Because again, we can manipulate those. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and run this. And if you notice, when we start out, all of our chickens are yellow because our model says make the chicken yellow. Again, if we want to change one of the specific instances, say we want to set it to red, we can change a specific instance or object of the model by going down, get back into the my first method, and writing it. This time I'm going to change chicken2 dot set paint. And I'm going to change color to color dot red. And I'm going to go ahead and run this. And in this situation, we're changing the color from red, or from yellow to red. Again, we're changing the paint color. This is a mutator method that was set up for chickens, and really all flyers. All flyer objects have the ability to have their color changed. And I can even change it and make it dark gray. I'm going to go ahead and close this one so we can run it again. And now you'll see that he has dark gray. Now, this is a really good example of how to use objects and their instance methods. This is a really good example. If we look towards the bottom of our program, we will see all of the objects that we've created and all of the classes or blueprints they came from. One thing that you'll find in all Alice programs is a blueprint for the ground and a blueprint for the camera, and you will also see objects created from these blueprints. Additionally, because we were using chickens, these were the items that we've added, you can see we've got a chicken 1, chicken 2, and chicken 3. And you can see basically there how we created those objects. I'm going to ask you to ignore the private and final for a moment. And I just want you to look at the setup. S ground, that's the ground model. Ground, which is the name of our object, equals new S ground. S camera, that's the name of our camera model. We've called the object we're creating of that camera model a camera, and we've set it equal to new camera. This is the basic process by which we create objects from a given class. So assuming that we have a class, this is what we do to make an object from it so we can play with it. Now again, notice we didn't manipulate, except for the point where we wanted to turn all the chickens yellow. We didn't really mess with the chicken class. We're not making changes to the chicken model. Instead, we're making changes to individual chicken objects. If we want to make a change to how all the chickens look, Then we would go into the chicken model, but that would affect every chicken made from that model. And you notice when we went into the chicken and we said, okay, set the paint color to yellow. When you create a chicken, set the paint color to yellow. Every chicken that was created from this was yellow. Unless we explicitly changed it, every chicken was yellow. Because we changed the model. I want you to understand that there is a difference between the model and the objects created from it. When we create an object from a model, it is completely separate and unique. Just like a house. Even if we have a development and all the houses look exactly the same because they were all built from the same blueprint. If you paint your house blue, does your neighbor's house turn blue? No. They're separate and unique. Same thing here with these chickens. Chicken 1 is separate and unique from chicken 2. Otherwise, when we turned chicken 2 to dark gray, chicken 1 would have turned dark gray too. And it didn't. Because we didn't change the model. We changed chicken 2. When we did change the model, then all of the chickens changed. That is one thing you need to know. Objects are separate from each other. So if I create 3 separate objects, even though they use the same blueprint to be built, they are discrete and they are separate and they are unique. And a change I make to one does not affect the rest. That's all I have for you for exercise 1. If you have any questions about this exercise, feel free to email me or bring it up in class. My email address is bsimbeck@ccac.edu. Please make sure to include your course number, CIT 111, your section, and the subject line, Week 7, Exercise 1, question, so I can make sure your email gets to the top of my list. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.